Hi guys, it's me Terry of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial we're going to create the Granny Summer Bag. This is a pattern by Yarnspirations. It is free on their website. I will put a link in the description box below on how where you can get the written pattern. Okay, and I will also insert a picture here as to what this finished bag looks like. Okay, so in order to create this bag, you need a crochet hook. The pattern calls for an H or 5mm crochet hook. You're going to need a pair of scissors and a darning needle, and of course your yarn. Now the pattern calls for Caron cotton cakes, but in this tutorial I am using Sugar and Cream Stripes, which is a number 4 weight cotton yarn, and the colorway that I am using is Violet Stripes. Okay, and I did end up buying 7 of these little 2-ounce, I think they're 2 ounces, let's see, yes, 2-ounce skeins. Okay, and so that's what I used. Okay, now I'm thinking that the Caron cotton cakes must be a thinner yarn because my desired size of my square is reaching it sooner than what the pattern calls for as far as the number of rounds. So I will talk about that in a minute, more in just a little bit. Okay, so to get started we need to first start making our squares. Okay, so it calls for a an adjustable ring. You can chain 2 and then work your first stitches in the second chain from the hook, but I'm going to be making a magic circle. And there are many tutorials on how to do this if you don't know how to do a magic circle here on YouTube. Otherwise, you can, like I said, chain 2 and then work in the second chain from the hook. Okay, so you're going to start off with 4 single crochets into that ring. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then we're going to pull our ring closed. Okay, so then we will be creating a circle, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch, the first single crochet. Okay, so slip stitch into there, and that is our first round, and then we're going to chain 1 and then continue to the next round. Okay, so now we are going to put 3 single crochets into each of these 4 single crochets from the previous round. Okay, so 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, all in the same stitch. Okay, and then the next single crochet we're going to do 3 also. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then 3 more in the next one. 1, 2, 3, and then 3 single crochet into the last single crochet of that round. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now we're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet to close up that round. Okay, so now at the end of round 2 you should have 12 single crochets. Okay, so let's count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, 12. Okay, going on to round 3, we're going to chain 1, which I did that. Okay, chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet back into that same stitch. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to make our corner. And now we're going to single crochet in the very next stitch without skipping any single crochets from the previous round. Okay, and then now we're going to single crochet 2 more times, 1 in each of the next 2. So 1 and 2. So we're going to have 3 between these chain loops, because these chain loops, 3 stitches between the chain loops. These chain loops are where the corner is going to be. So we did 3, right? And then now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to do single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, get some yarn here. Okay, now chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 3 single crochet 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, oops, try it again. 1, 2, 3, okay, and then chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then remember we started with a single crochet here, so now instead of single crocheting 3, since we've already got one there, we only need to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1, oops, try it again, 1 and 2, okay, and now we're going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet that we made. And that is the end of round 3. Okay, so now what you should have, you're going to have 4 chain 3 spaces, okay, and that makes our corners. And then between these chain 3 spaces, we should have 3 stitches on each side, okay? Okay, now going on to round 4, we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to single crochet back into that same single crochet that we joined into, okay? Now we are in one of the corner loops, okay? And each corner loop you're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 3, and then 1 single crochet, all into that loop, okay? So 1 single crochet, and then chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then 1 single crochet again, back into the same loop. And then now we're on the side, and on the side we have 1, 2, and 3 stitches, so we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of those. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're in the chain 3 loop, and we're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1 single crochet. Okay, now we're on the side again. We're going to do 1 in each of those 3 stitches there. So 1 single crochet, and then another one in the second one, and then another one in the third stitch. And then now we're at the corner again, so 1 single crochet, chain 3, and 1 single crochet. Okay, now we got to do the side. There's 3 of them, so we're going to do 1 in each of those stitches, 1 single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we're in the last loop, so 1 single crochet, chain 3, and 1 single crochet. Okay, and now we're going to finish up the side. And remember, when we started we did 1 single crochet and then we went into the loop, and so that is where we're going to be joining. So remember, we were doing 3 on the sides, so we're going to do 1 single crochet in that one, 1 single crochet in the next one, and then we're going to join because that one has already got the single crochet in it. Okay, so now we're going to join with a slip stitch. Okay, there's round 4. Okay, so all the rounds are going to look exactly like that, okay? So you keep doing that same thing around, just 1 single crochet in each single crochet around, and then in each chain loop, 1 single crochet, chain 3, 1 single crochet, and then you want to do that until your square reaches 7 inches, if that's the size of square that you want. When I just kept measuring mine, and when mine reached 7 inches across, I had to do 12 rounds, including the very single one. So I counted out, and I had to do 12 of them. I think on the pattern, you have to go to like around 16 or something. And so that's why, to reach 7 inches. So that's why I'm thinking that this is a thicker yarn than the Caron Cotton Cakes. But you can customize as far as the size. When we put this bag together, it's going to be sitting, these squares is going to be sitting like diamonds, like this, okay? end to end. And so if you have a 7-inch square, then that means that your bag is going to be roughly 14 inches wide. Okay, and so if you're not wanting a bag that large, you could always do 6-inch squares or 5-inch squares and then make them, then it'll be a smaller bag. So whatever size you want the squares, that's how many rounds you're going to be doing it. So it's very versatile pattern, because you can make it smaller or larger depending on the size of the squares that you make. Okay, so anyway, decide on the size of your square that you want as far as the width of your bag. That's just rough numbers. And then you're going to do 13 of these squares. Okay, see, I have big stack of them. So you want to do 13 of these squares, and like I said, when you reach the size that you want, all you're going to do is slip stitch into your first stitch. I see that one needs to be secured a little better. But you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet, and then you're going to cut off your yarn, and then you can weave in your starting tail right here. You can weave those in, and where you cut off, you fasten off, and you can weave that in. And then we will go on to the next step after that. Okay? Okay, so I got all of my 13 squares crocheted, and now I'm ready to put these together to make our bag. Okay, so I tried to get all the squares in the camera, but as you can see, I can't get the camera up high enough to get the whole entire layout in the camera, but I will insert a picture here of what the layout should look like. Your first layout should look like. So I try to lay out the squares as random as I can as far as the centers. Now you can lay them out however you want to. I see these two centers both have green, pretty large green centers. They're pretty identical, so I think I'm going to trade out one of those with one of my other squares, so that way they won't be exactly the same. Let's see. Maybe not that one. Let me see. It's kind of hard to choose one. Yeah, let's just put this one there. Okay, so I think that one looks better, right? Okay, like that. See, I switched this around because this side has a solid purple line, and this one is blue. So just to have it random, okay, as much as I can. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do to get our shape is I'm going to take this corner here, the corner, this square, and I'm going to fold it in half like that. And see, that's going to form the edge of our bag. And then the one on the other side, this one right here, I'm also going to fold in half. Okay, like that. And then the very bottom one, which you can't see it in the camera, I'm going to fold that one in half like this, so then it can have a straight flat edge, and that will be the bottom of my bag. Now I will insert a picture here of what this layout will look like, and that'll give you the actual shape of your bag. Okay, so that is where I'm at so far. I have 5 squares left over. Now, this is the front side of the bag. Of course, these ones that folded, the top layer is the front side of the bag. That bottom layer of the triangle, that is the back side of the bag, okay? And same thing with this one, and the one at the very bottom, okay? And so all we need at the bottom is matches for these 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? So that is what your leftover squares are going to go for. So the top of our bag here, where the straps are going to be, so I need to have underneath it, I need to have the back side of that piece, okay? So let's see, let's put this one with the screen center. Now this one, actually, since it's going to be on the back side of the bag, I'm going to put it wrong side up, and I'm going to put it underneath that piece right there because I know that's the back layer of that bag. Okay, same thing as the other side. Okay, so this one I used a green center, so this one I want to do something that's not a green center. Let's use this purple centered one. Okay, and then we'll put it there. That's the back side of that bag, okay? And you can always rotate these squares as you're sewing them together if you don't like the way the side colors matching each other or whatever, however you want to do it. Okay, so the very central one, of course, this one also needs the back side of it, right? So let's see, this one, and remember these back ones, I put them wrong side up. So I have a purple and a green, and so this one, I'm going to use this one with the white center, and this one's going to be going under this one. Okay, let's put it that way. Wrong side up, okay? So there's the back side of that piece. Okay, and then we need the back side of this one and the back side of this one. Okay, so we know this one has got a white one. So let's put that one, and this one's got a purple, which would be right next to it. You can't see, sorry, I'm off camera. That's the bottom. So I'm going to say, let's put, well, it really doesn't matter. Let's put this one here, back, the wrong side up. Okay, so that'll be the back side of that piece, and then the leftover one that we have will go underneath this one, wrong side up. Okay, and then so that's the back side of that bag. Okay, so there is our bag. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to start sewing these pieces together. Okay, so like this one, let's see, one that you can actually see. Let's do this. Okay, so this one, since this is a folded over piece, this side of this square, okay, the one that's underneath, that side will line up with this one, that underneath part, because that's the back side. See that? And then this top piece, we're going to stitch together with the top half, the top layer of that triangle. See that? Okay. It's kind of, as you're going along, I think you kind of see how it fits together. Like this one, the bottom piece of that is going to be, this line will be sewed together with this one underneath, and the top one will be sewed to this top square. Okay, like that. And vice versa. So anyway, so that's the next step I'm going to do, is I'm going to start sewing these pieces together. Now you can sew them together different ways. I believe in the pattern it says that you can work through the back loops, and you can do a single crochet and single crochet the pieces together in the back loops. If you do it on the top side, with the right sides facing up, if you do the back loops, you're going to have a ridge, okay, that's going to go across all of these seams, okay? And if you like it like that, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. If you want that seam, if you want to crochet them together and you want the seam to be on the underside of the bag, then turn them, let's see, you can turn them right sides together like that, okay? And then crochet them, what is the back loops, but it's the two loops that are next to each other, and you crochet a single crochet across the seams together there, and that will give you the seam, that stand-up seam will be on the back side. Okay, so you can do that, or you can just whip stitch the pieces together, okay, or you can do the mattress stitch. As far as, it's kind of like a whip stitch. It's the way I joined these squares for the Scrappy Granny crochet along, okay? So you can do it that way, and then you will have a flat piece. You won't have a ridge on the top or underneath the bottom of the bag. I mean on the inside. So however you want to put these together, then feel free to do that. Okay, I am going to, personally, I think I'm going to go ahead and take long lengths of some more of my left cotton that I have of this same colorway that I'm using, and I'm going to do a mattress stitch to put the two pieces together. Okay, so that way I think it's more of an invisible seam, and since my yarn is variegated, it changes colors. I think that would be the best for me. I think I would like it that way the most, but feel free to do however you want to join these squares together. Go ahead and do it, because it's your bag, so make it the way you want to do it. Make it your own. Okay, so let's see. I am going to get set up here, and I will start sewing these together. And I will also, I'll go ahead and come on and videotape a little bit of me stitching it together so you can see how I'm doing mine. Okay, so here's the bottom of my bag. That's that bottom piece that's folded under, and there's the one side. So I'm going to start sewing my piece together, this long seam here that's going to go diagonal all the way across my bag, okay? So I have my length of yarn that I've cut, and I'm going to go ahead and move this over here so you can see that this piece is going to have to be sewn to this side, but starting at this corner. Oops, see that? Starting at this corner, and I'm going to put those two pieces together. Okay, so these are the two I need, so I'm going to pull them over here so then you can see my stitches. Okay, so I'm working in the back loops only, so I'm going to insert my yarn here, leave me a little tail there, and then I'm going to come over here and go back loops only into the corresponding stitch on the corner of the next one. Okay, now just to secure it, I like to go ahead and tie it in a knot. Before I continue. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next stitch, back loops only, on this side, and I'm going to go across to its mate on the other side, back loops only, okay? And then pull it all the way through, okay? And now instead of going across, I'm going to go up to the next stitch, back loops only, see? And go under that one, and then come around and go from the bottom up on that stitch, its mate across, and pull that through. Okay? And then I'm going to do it again. Go up one stitch, go front to back on the back loops only, and then go over to the corresponding stitches from back to front on that side and pull it across. Okay? See, and then when you tighten that up, I mean, you'll see it a little bit, but not much. It's pretty much an invisible join, I think. Okay, so go up one stitch on that side, go front to back through the back loop only, and then go across to the corresponding stitch on the other side and pull my yarn through. Okay, and so that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so you go up a stitch and then over to its corresponding partner on the other side, and you're just working through the back loops only. Up a stitch and then across. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go all the way across to the top here. And see, this part is going to be folded under because this is the bottom part of the bag. So see, that's in the position that we're wanting it. So everything looks good. So I'm going to start sewing my pieces together, and then when I get all the bags sewed together, then I will come back on and we will make the straps, and then we'll see about lining it. Okay, so like I said, here's my bag. Okay, there's the bottom, and you can see I'll pull it up here and look at the top. Okay, so when you're sewing together, though, one tip is you don't want to stitch up these two side seams here right at the top, because if you do, your opening will be really small. So make sure that these are not stitched together. Okay, the bottoms obviously are stitched, but not these two side seams up here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a single crochet edge,
and we're going to go all the way around this top opening, okay? And when we get to the top points of the top of our bags, we're going to do into this chain 3 loops, those loops, we're going to do 3 single crochets, okay? But besides that, we're just going to go all the way around this top edge right there. And we're going to do that with a single crochet just to give us a nice edging around our bag, okay? And then I will meet you back. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm using the same yarn that I've been using and the same hook, okay? See? And then I'm going to, I'll meet you back when I have my edge done. Okay, so I went around the top edge all the way around the bag. I did in a single crochet row. I did 3 single crochets into each of the tips or the corner, those chain 3 loops, yeah. And so now I'm ready to go on to making the straps. Okay, so for the straps, I just followed the pattern instructions. I chained 85, and then I single crochet starting the second chain from the hook all the way down to the starting chain, and then I chained 1 and turned, and then single crochet all the way back, and I did that a total of 4 rows, okay, and I made 2 of them. Okay, and I did put a marker on each end on the same side, okay, so that way that would help me to place the straps without getting the straps twisted. See, I've got one there, and then I've got the other one marked, okay, on the same side. Okay, so if you're not going to line your bag, then you can go ahead and attach your straps. So I've got mine with that marker facing up. I put it underneath this top, one of the top peaks of my bag, okay, and then I just stitch it down firmly, okay, like that to the inside of my bag, and then I go and make sure I don't have it twisted. And then I come over here to the other side. See, I've got it twisted because my marker's on the wrong side. So let's see. Marker up. Okay, there. Now I have the marker up, so I know that that's not twisted. And then I secure it down to the peak of the other side. Okay? So I do that peak to peak for one marker. I mean, one marker. One strap, and then I do it on the other side. I do the same thing. So I sew it to the inside of the bag to that peak. On this side, I'm going to do marker down toward that peak, so that way I don't have it twisted. Make sure it's not twisted. Sorry, I got off camera there. Okay, and then let's see, and then I put marker down there, and so you can pin it into place and then stitch it down, okay, and just make sure your strap is not twisted, and then you'll be finished with your bag. Okay, now, but I'm going to attempt to line my bag. So what I did is I bought this fabric right here. It's a 1 yard piece of fabric that it was like a pre-cut piece that I bought at Walmart. I just was trying to match one of the colors in my colorway of my yarn, and so I got it doubled, okay, my fabric. I fold it in half, and then I'm laying the bag on the top of that cloth, okay, and I will pop in a picture here where you can see the bag laying on the cloth, since I can't get the whole entire bag in the viewfinder of the camera. Okay, and this fabric, like I said, that I got at Walmart, it is, it's double-sided. I mean, you can't tell a right and wrong side. You know, each side looks the same, so there really isn't a right and wrong side, which is good. Makes it easier. And so anyway, I have my bag laid out, and now I'm going to get a pin. I like these pins here. They are called... they are friction pins by Pilot. I will put a link in the description box below. But anyway, it was a 2-pack pin that I bought because I think it was from a sewing YouTube tutorial, and they use this as a marking pin because it disappears with heat when you're gonna iron. When you iron over it, it disappears. Okay, and it's called a Pilot friction pin. Okay, and like I said, I will post a link in the description box below to these pins. But anyway, I really like them to use if I need to mark something on fabric for sewing. Okay, so I'm going to take this pin and I'm going to trace all the way around my bag, okay, onto the cloth, the fabric that I have my bag laying on, okay. And so I'm going to trace all the way around it, okay. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect. And remember, this fabric is doubled, so that will take care of both sides of my liner, okay? Like that, okay? Okay, let me pull this up. I don't know if you can see. Let me zoom up. Maybe you can see the lines. See the lines there? Okay. I did it just kind of a rough sketch around my bag. Okay, and it doesn't have to be, you know, just dark enough so you can see it. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace around this image that I traced onto my fabric about a 1/2 inch out from this line, so that will give me a seam allowance. I couldn't think of the word, but anyway, where I'm going to sew it together, okay, or not even a 1/2 inch, maybe anywhere between like 1/4 to half an inch, something like that. And I'm going to go around that existing image, okay, and that's going to be my cutting line, okay, and then I'm going to cut on that outer line, okay, and then of course this line right here is going to be my where I'm going to be sewing. But anyway, so let me get on that. I'm going to finish those 2 lines there, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut my fabric out on that outer line, okay, and then I'll be back and I'll show you what I've got. Okay, so I got the cloth cut out on that outer line that I had drawn, and then I'm laying my bag here back on the piece. I forgot to mark, but I want to mark where this part starts to angle up to this point, okay, the peak, and I want to make a line on either end of that, and so that is going to tell me where I'm going to stop sewing. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew on that inner line from that mark, which is the start of the peak. I'm going to sew from there all the way around my bag to the other side where I have marked where the peak starts, okay? So that's the first step I'm going to do, is just sew all the way around, but I'm going to leave, of course, the top open, okay? So that's my next step. Okay, so I sewed the 2 pieces of the lining together just along that line. This was the first line that I had drawn to as I was tracing around the bag. Oh, you can see it on that side, okay? And so now I'm going to, and I did go to the iron and I just pressed my seam open just on the sides. I didn't do it at the bottom. Okay, and so now I'm going to insert my lining into my bag, okay, and I'm not going to turn this inside out or anything. I'm just going to, just as I sewed it together, I'm going to insert that inside into my bag, which is right side out, just like I'm going to be using it. Okay, and so I will meet you back when I get this liner stuffed into the bag. Okay, so I got my bag stuffed, the liner stuffed into my bag. And now what I want to do is I've got some sewing pins here. I made that pin cushion, by the way. So I've got some sewing pins here. I like to use these real long quilter's pins. And I'm going to pin, the first place I'm going to pin is the seam. You can see that? There, see that seam? I'm going to pin that into the corner of my bag because I don't want it to shift. I want that to be, the seam to be right in the corner. Okay, so I'm going to pin that. Now if I need to adjust it a little bit, I can. But it just kind of gives me a place to start. Okay, so I'm going to pin that through the bag. See, I've got the liner attached there to the bag, okay? And then I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Lining up that side seam, and I do want to open up that piece, the piece that I pressed down. I want to open that up. And I'm going to then put the pin right there where that side seam is. Oop, that's a short one. I need a long pin. Okay. In the corner of my bag. Okay. There you go. Okay, so now what I want to do is start pinning this piece to the bag, the liner to the bag for these peaks, okay? And the way I'm going to do this, and don't be afraid to use, I like to use lots of pins. You can also use the clips, which I do have those as well, but I think since I'm going to be pinning and hemming at the same time, I think I want to use my pin. So I'm going to fold over the raw edge of my liner. Okay, and I want to pin it to the inside of the top of my bag on the, heading up that peak, see? Okay, so I want to tuck under the edge. Now I'm sure there's probably a more proper way to do this, but I'm not a professional as far as sewing goes. So this is the way I'm going to do it. Okay, and so I'm going to work my way up like that, and I'm going to pin it, folding over the edge and then pinning it to the bag. Okay, and I'm going to do that all the way up to the top right there. So I will meet you back when I'm up to the top of the peak. Okay, so I pinned it up to the peak on both sides, and now I'm going to get my handle, my strap, and I'm going to put it, it doesn't matter which way, you can do it marker shaped, marker up or marker, either direction, doesn't matter. But you're going to insert it into, and then once you get that pinned, once you have it laid where you want it, go ahead and take that marker out, but just make sure you don't flip it over. Okay, so I've got it where my marker is facing up toward me. Okay, and now I'm going to take my material, my fabric, and I'm going to lay that flap over it. And so right here when I'm stitching, I just tuck it under because I just want the raw edges to be tucked under. And then I'm going to be stitching through all of that thickness right there. So get my pin and make sure I get through all of that. Like that. And I can adjust this and tuck it under if I need to when I have it on the sewing machine. To make sure I catch all of that. Okay, I can adjust it when I get there. Okay. So now when I'm going to pin this all the way around. Okay, my opening of my bag, and then I'm going to be stitching through all of that. My what I crocheted and the liner to attach the liner to the bag. Okay, so when I get to this though, where there's a strap, then I'm going to go ahead and go over it several times. Oh, not even in the camera, sorry. Several times to reinforce that strap, okay? Coming back on here right quick, what I need to remember, a tip to say that when you put the strap in there, you want to put the strap in there a pretty good amount where you will have maybe an inch of overlap here, you know, so that way you can stitch and reinforce all of that to it, so that way the strap will be attached to the bag and the lining really snugly, okay? Okay, so I'm going to keep pinning this, and then I'm going to and put my strap. Make sure your straps do not twist when you pin those on there, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine and I will stitch it down, and then I will show you the finished project, okay? Okay guys, so I just got finished sewing my lining in, and I ran it through my sewing machine. I didn't know if it was gonna cooperate with me or if I was going to have to hand stitch, which I definitely could have done that. I could have just hand stitched the top around, but I'm pretty happy with it. I did go back and reinforce around like a square of stitches around the handles to reinforce the handles, but I'm pretty happy with it. So thanks so much guys for following me along on this tutorial, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.